Everything's relative, right? So I think Vermont does a fairly good job at mitigating homelessness. However, we still have up to 2,000 to 4,000 people experiencing homelessness in Vermont. And to me, that is absolutely unacceptable.
In the past year, the COVID-19 pandemic exposed the hidden extent of Vermont's ongoing homelessness crisis. Vermont was able to house thousands of homeless individuals through motel vouchers. While this has helped keep Vermonters safe and healthy during the pandemic, we know that it's not a permanent solution. Homeless and precariously housed Vermonters are confronting an affordable housing crisis. As we recover from this public health crisis here in Vermont, we have the unique opportunity to rethink our social and economic systems. We need compassionate safety nets, rental assistance, and supportive services that work for everyone, and we need more affordable housing. Most of all, we need to listen to those that know the crisis the best, people who work closely with homeless folks and people who've lived through homelessness themselves. Together, we can end homelessness in Vermont.
My name's John. I am a father of two, divorced unfortunately, but we co-parent, and that's why I'm up here in Vermont.
My name is Lennon. I live in Middlebury, Vermont.
First, my name's Sean Elsass, and I moved up to Vermont in 2011 due to me being transgender. So I gave up my career working for the state of Texas as a lieutenant because of the harassment I was getting down south. So I thought it'd be easier and it was a lot easier for me to transition up here.
Well, my name is Kathy Curley, and I used to always say that everybody is always one check away from being homeless. And I spent my 61st birthday in my car.
My landlord informed me that he was finally selling out after years and years. The new owner had deep pockets and was renovating the building and kicked everyone out, turned the top floor that three of us gentlemen lived on with a shared bathroom in an affordable manner in a nice neighborhood of Burlington, turned that into one apartment that was multiple thousands of dollars a month.
I had to stop working July 21st of 2019. So in August, all my savings and all my money I had, I couldn't afford to pay for housing anymore, which ended up me being in the streets. And it was the first time for me to ever be homeless.
I had been in an apartment, but due to the mental health issues, that's what really kind of cascaded everything into my homelessness situation and my further decline in mental health and different things like that.
Homelessness is it's the worst feeling ever. And it's the worst feeling when people look at you in a different light, like you're not a human being. And that's how I felt.
It was a little embarrassing because here I am, 61 years old, and I have nowhere to live.
I've always been a people person, but when I was at the Charter House, I was so withdrawn.
People are doing everything they can to not be in these situations, and the systems that exist are just challenging, whether it's low wages, navigating mental health challenges or substance use challenges.
I a lot of times work with people who don't necessarily qualify as literally homeless, which is frustrating sometimes because of the access to different resources is different. I think a lot of times it's just so confusing because there's so many different entities that they have to interact with.
We can't build a system or have a system that is so fragmented. right? Right now, people have to apply for services and benefits in so many different ways. It's incumbent upon us as a society, as a community, to make this understandable, accessible, integrated, holistic, so people aren't jumping around to different systems in order to get their care.
My social worker, who is a very thoughtful person, also, they let me take the wheel. They're like, if you're ready, cool. If you're not, take the time you need. He was always open to being flexible with me, letting me kind of figure it out.
It's hard for somebody on the outside looking in at us to say, just do this, just do that. That's not an option. It's not that simple, man.
The biggest barrier is that there is not affordable housing. The Vermont housing market is stretched extremely thin. And even though people are working, they are able to, live off benefits. They can't afford to pay rent and live.
Affordable is $1,200 a month. Everybody I know, their checks are $1,200 a month. So that would be 100% of their income.
Yeah.
$1,000, even $800 a month is not affordable, and there's nothing out there at $800 a month.
You can't expect us Vermonters at our pay scale, and with the pandemic, with what's going on, expect to stay competitive with people that come from out of state.
And if you get onto a waiting list for like the Commons, which is over by Shaw's, or Briarwood, which is over that way also, you may be on the waiting list for over a year. And what do you do during that year?
Even if we wanted to house everyone that's experiencing homelessness today, the affordable housing doesn't exist to do that.
From an operations standpoint, the impact has been tremendous. We were originally a strong volunteer base. We lost a lot of our volunteers, not because they don't want to be with us, but because of the risks related to COVID.
All of my workarounds were like coffee shops to plug in and the gym to get a shower and buffets that I would bring stuff back for and create a meal out of it. And it would just stretch money. And I didn't have to use soup kitchens, And I did that for that was the end of my fifth winter of doing that. Suddenly, all of those workarounds were gone overnight in the middle of March when the world shut down.
The motel voucher system has been a godsend. We've gotten a lot of people off the street into safe housing. We kind of have a system here where, they have a place where they can be clean and sober. They can come into the office and vent and talk.
I think that has been a powerful moment for all of us to say, wait a minute, why would we go back to where we were? Why would we go back to congregate shelter settings that are unhealthy in terms of public safety, that are stigmatizing, and that don't allow people the personal space and the ability to move forward?
I think it's pretty misunderstood in terms of what it is to be homeless. We have people who work full-time jobs, but find themselves homeless just due to very other drastic circumstances in their life.
I worked my whole life. I worked full-time. I reared two children who have turned out okay. My older son has a degree from Plattsburgh and a degree from UVM. I have a couple of degrees, most recently in the 80s from a school called Johnson State College. It's not called that any longer. Yeah. So I very much played by the rules. I used to own a home, and here I am.
I never, ever in a million years thought that I'd have to stop working or I would ever end up homeless. Now, I'm guilty of this. I always thought homeless people were drug addicts or alcoholics that just didn't give a crap about their lives. And that was wrong of me to think that way after being put in that situation, because we're all one paycheck away from being homeless.
The homelessness situation right now is a crisis. Everybody needs to pull together. Communities need to pull together. Towns need to pull together and help. If we can get the extra help, we might be able to get out of the crisis easier.
We need more subsidy vouchers. We need more affordable housing because it's just not there. It just isn't. And we have a lot of low income families.
If you make one way to try and help everyone, it's definitely not gonna capture everything. Sure, it would capture, like, maybe even you could say a majority of being helpful. And that's awesome, right? Because it's like, those people need help, they're taking advantage of it, great. But all the people that don't get caught in that, how do you address that, you know?
We need systemic changes in this country, and that means raising the minimum wage. That means creating more affordable housing, and that means affordable health care and equitable food access, good nutritious food for all.
If we don't see the needle moving in the next couple of years, it's simply because it hasn't become a true priority when it comes to our time, energy, and resources as a community.